Well, hiya, BookTube. Bill Ruttenberg here with the Ruttenberg Library. I wanted to do a tag for you. This is a tag that I actually copied down quite a while back, and it's actually from TeacherTube. The part of YouTube all dedicated to teachers and learning and that kind of stuff. And there's all kinds of good stuff if you're a teacher, if you go over to that. And I don't remember if it was last year or the year before, but I copied this tag down and then I don't believe I ever did it. And it's the What I Love About Being a Teacher tag. And this was originally created by the Chronicles of Teacher Tay. And I saw it on Too Cool for Middle School. And she's got a really neat channel. She does a lot of stuff that she does in her classroom, and then just history stuff that she reads and uses in her classroom. And so go check out those two channels if you're interested in some teaching stuff. Anyway, I wanted to do this tag simply because yesterday was the last day for teachers at school, and now we are officially on summer break. And I thought this would just be a really good one to wrap up the school year. And if you're not familiar with my channel and you're new to this channel, I am a middle school social studies teacher. I teach grades 6 through 8 here in Iowa, and I also have a high school world history class, and so I teach kind of the whole spectrum. And I guess I first off want to say thank you. I want to say thank you to the Bedford Community Schools, the community that I live in, or the school district I live in. I wanted to say thank you. I want to say thank you to all of my students for your top-notch work this year and just your striving to get better. I think that goes a long, long ways. And I want to say thank you to all of the parents out there who have backed us up and helped us in this endeavor to create these great new citizens to our to our country. And I'm just very, very grateful to our administration and the parents, the community. I feel that I am very, very blessed. I work in just an absolutely wonderful school district, a top-notch school district, and I really enjoy working with my fellow teachers, my colleagues, and I love the kids that I work with. And anyway, I wanted to use this as a thank you for this last school year. Let's see here. With all of that being said, I count myself as the luckiest man on earth. Step aside Lou Gehrig, here comes Bill Ruttenberg. But I do count myself as lucky. I don't feel like I go to work. I go to my career, and I absolutely love what I do. I love working with the kids, and I truly feel that I am doing what I'm supposed to do. And if you work in a good work environment, you get that feeling. That feeling doesn't always come. And I know there's a lot of teachers that are leaving the education field because they don't have that feeling. And I just wanted to say thank you to everyone for allowing me to have that feeling, and to, as kind of just a self-assurance that this is what I'm supposed to do with my life. And I really appreciate that. So anyway, this is a tag, so maybe I should answer some questions. So again, this is the What I Love About Being a Teacher tag. And so the first prompt is 5 things I love about being an educator. Okay, so for me, I've already told you I absolutely love what I do. So if I picked out 5 things, these are just 5 quick things. There's lots of other things, but the first one is I get to pay back all old debts. My teachers in my young life saved my life. I am a product of the foster system, and I was in and out of homes when I was younger, and I very easily could have slipped between the cracks and fell through and not made something of my life. That very easily could have happened, but it did not happen for a couple of different reasons, and one of those is my teachers. My teachers helped to save my life. They were a stable rock for me in my life. They were my foundation, part of my foundation, and no matter where I went, I did have different teachers, obviously, in the different schools that I attended when I was young, but no matter where I went, I was blessed with good teachers that cared about me, teachers who didn't have to care, but they did. And they helped that, that little red-haired boy, the one that was a pain in the neck. They helped to mold and shape me into the person I am today. And I want to thank all the teachers out there that helped me from first grade all the way through my senior year of high school and even into college, really. Even my college teachers were helping to mold me. So for me, it's not just about, just teaching. It's also giving back to the profession that helped to save my life. And part of the thing that I like about going to work every day is I can be there for kids in various ways. I can be a listening ear. I can give advice. I can teach them instruction. I'm all these different things. I've been able to be a part of kids' lives, and I love going to work every day. I love being able to help in that endeavor. So the second thing that I've got is I get to learn every day. How awesome is that? I am a teacher and I'm teaching kids, but at the same time, I'm learning. I learn something new every day, multiple things every day. And, it isn't just for my outside research, which I do a lot of. I'm on BookTube and I read a lot of books, but that's not the only additional learning that I get. My kids, some of them are, they think it's not cool to know things. But at the same time, one of the reasons I love middle school is even though it's becoming not cool, they still want to show you. And so they are always bringing new stuff to me that I did not know. Hey, Mr. Ruttenberg, I saw on a documentary, or my grandpa was in World War II and he brought me, and they'll bring in like old military papers or memoirs or all this kind of stuff, and it just enhances my learning so much. So thank you, students. I really, really appreciate that. And then the third thing that I would say is I get to read every day. I absolutely love reading, and so I get to read every single day. And then the number 2 and 3, I get to learn every day and learn about history. How awesome is that? And I get to read every day, and then I get to pass that on. That's kind of a part of number 2 and 3 is I get to pass on that love to my kids. And there is nothing more gratifying than sitting at the end of a class and you have to tell kids to go away because they're hanging around so long after class to actually talk about these really important events that have happened in history, and well, what do you think would have happened if such and such would have played out? And I have to I don't have to, I get to just explain my opinion and how I think things would have happened, and then it gets to the point where I have to shoo them on to class so they're not late for their next class. But when that happens, that is a golden moment. That's that extra teaching that you get to do, and that you have the kid hooked. And I have had that happen with almost every single kid this year at one time or another, where there's a certain part of the lesson that they really attached to and they want to carry on that conversation. And then, taking that a step forward, you go to lunch and you get teachers, well, thanks a lot, Bill. They wouldn't stop talking about whatever it is we were talking about in class. And to me, that warms my heart because that means that it struck a chord with them. It had meaning for them. And I'm just so lucky and grateful that I've got, first of all, kids that are open receptors like that. And that's one of the reasons I absolutely love middle school is they get to high school and sometimes they really put up a wall. But in middle school, they're building their own identities. They're becoming themselves. So first of all, if you are new to teaching, in elementary, they're getting all that grounding of right versus wrong and what you're supposed to be. When they get to middle school and they start that moment in life where they start to pull away from parents a little bit, and then they start to build their own identity and who they are and just what they like and how they want others to view them. And then when they get to high school, that's not that that process is done, but they're on that path, and sometimes they build a wall up. You don't want it to happen, but sometimes it happens. In middle school, there's still open receptors. You can mold and shape them and help them get through some really tough emotional stuff. And that all plays into it. And I think I may have rambled and gotten off point here. So let's get back on track. So my number 4 reason that I love being an educator, I get to hang out with young people all day. That is awesome. I don't have to be around old cranky people who, I don't want to go to work anymore, and that kind of stuff, and I hate this place and all of that. I get to be around young people who are lively, they're spunky, they're especially with middle school, they speak their mind. They have not built a filter yet. It's not quite as bad as elementary. Elementary can be, woo, you hear all kinds of stuff. But in middle school, they're still learning to build the filter of what should and should not come out of their mouth. And sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not so good, but it's funny half the time. And I get to hang around with them all the time and, get to help build their character and say, well, we probably shouldn't say stuff like that around, and talk. We shouldn't talk about people. Maybe we should address it this way. And we get to help, do that. And I absolutely love being around young people for that very reason. It helps to make me feel young. I sit and I look around and I'm becoming one of the older teachers. I'm not the oldest yet, but I'm on my way up the old man ladder, and I look around and I don't feel old. I still feel like I'm in my mid-20s. After all, every time my birthday comes around in October, I always tell the kids that I turned 23 today. Anyway, so sometimes they catch on to it and sometimes they don't. Sometimes they just kind of roll with that. Happy 23rd birthday. And that's what I love about middle school, is there is still an innocence there. They're a little naive to some extent, and you can have fun in the classroom and joke with them, and anyway, excuse me, they always make me laugh. It makes me feel young. That's what I love about being an educator. One of the things I love about being in education. The 5th one that I'm going to mark down is, for me, when I was younger, athletics got me through a lot of stuff. And I'm not saying that I was the most athletic person. I was not an all-state athlete or anything like that. I probably sat the bench more than I actually played. I got some playing time, but I was not a standout athlete. Athletic, but not stud athlete. And I'm okay with that. Not everybody's meant to be that. But my whole point is sports for me, remember I said in and out of foster homes and all that kind of stuff, sports gave me a very stable environment. They gave me, my high school football coach, his mantra was, we are one, we are family, dog pride. And, building that family atmosphere that, that guy across from me, that's my brother, and I got his back, he's got my back, and we take care of each other. And just knowing that you have that community of support, I think that is so awesome in sports. And you have to teach kids to do that, because it doesn't always come naturally. Some of them it does, but in a lot of cases they don't, and they have troubles and struggles with, opening up to people and being vulnerable. And I think it's important that, if you're going to build true relationships, whether it's on a sports team or if it's within your family or if you're looking for your future spouse, you have to learn to open up and be vulnerable to that other person in order to build a true camaraderie, no matter, what phase of life it's in. And through sports, we've been able to do that. And then just the idea of teamwork. I love teaching kids to work as a team and give of self. Don't always be me. You got to give up of yourself to the team to make the team better. And if everybody works together, then the whole thing will do well. And that's something I preach to my kids over and over and over again. And, this last school year, that's something that we saw. We saw kids that had to maybe play out of position and go play a position they weren't used to. But once they figured out that, and they owned that position, the whole team did well, did better because they did that. They took pride in what they were doing. It didn't matter that they were, you're not the quarterback. Well, we can only have one quarterback on the field. So some of you are going to have to go be linemen, and the linemen don't always get the credit that they deserve. And so we always tried with our sports to make sure they got some credit, so they would feel that pride and that ownership. And we had some kids that did that really well. We had kids in all the sports. I'm not going to go through all the examples, but we had kids in all the sports that, they may have had to play a position they weren't really wanting to play, but it was going to get them playing time, A, and B, it was going to be for what was best for the team. And the team succeeded in that. And so we get to teach them teamwork, family, giving up of self. And there's all kinds of other lessons that we learn. You put in the hard work and good things happen. And then we also get to learn hard lessons. Like sometimes you put in all the work and sometimes you still don't win. And you got to learn to live with a loss. And that's a life lesson right there, because you're not always going to win. And so there's so many lessons that we get to teach and instill in our kids. And so for me, one of the things I love about being an educator, even though it's one of the, side paths here, is being a coach. And I coach all seasons. And so I've had the advantage of working with kids all year round in different sports, and I coach boys and girls. So it's a great joy to help kids in that way. All right. So that's the first question, and we're only 16 minutes in. So who knows how long this is going to go. Excuse me. So anyway, don't worry. This is going to speed up. So number 2 is one thing I would say to a new teacher. One thing that I would say to a new teacher is don't let things get you down. Not everything's going to be rosy throughout the school year, especially as a new teacher. When your plate is full, you've got you're a first time teacher. You've never done this before, and I don't care how well college prepares you. It's nothing until you get in the classroom. I think it is vital. Classroom experience is vital to a teacher's success. Colleges can tell you one thing, but until it actually happens, that's where the learning happens for teachers, is when they're actually teaching. They used to, back in the day, throw you in the pool head first, and it's sink or swim. And there's a lot of stuff to be said for that. Now, I'm not saying there shouldn't be any prep work. There needs to be prep work and getting teachers ready, but there's also a lot to be said about being thrown in the pool head first. You're going to face a lot of challenges that first year. And so as a new teacher, I would give you the advice is just don't let it get you down. And it's really easy to let it get you down, especially as the year goes on and more things get piled on, and unexpected things. Those are always the kicker. I would also always say, when you start to get down, always go back and remember why you got started. What was the purpose of you being a teacher? Because, getting into teaching is not, you're not going to get rich. And so, you're not in it for the money. You're in it most likely because at one point in your life, you cared about kids. And if you didn't care about kids, I'd say get out of education, because you can't be an effective teacher without caring about kids. But always go back and remember why you started. What was the purpose of you being a teacher? How did you get into teaching? And so to help in that endeavor, what I would recommend is keeping a scrapbook of some sort. Kids throughout the year are going to give you little notes, and some of them are heartfelt and some of them are just kind of silly. You need to keep a file folder full of those and all of those moments, and try to remember to take pictures throughout the school year of awesome things going on in your classroom, because awesome things do happen, and you need to remember that they happened, that they do happen, because you're going to have some failures too. That's just the nature of the beast. That's just how it goes. There's going to be some lessons that are absolutely awesome. All the light bulbs come on, and there's going to be some lessons that are like the dark ages and no lights are coming on. So that happens. So keep a scrapbook of all of those moments and keep track of, those good things that happen. And don't be afraid to share those. So many good things happen in our classrooms that never make the news, never make the social media or whatever. I'm not saying you have to broadcast everything, but by the same token, don't be afraid to share with people, because there's a lot of good stuff that happens. And like I said, as you keep track of all the positives, keep track of the big positives and the small things. Sometimes those small things are the ones that matter the most. And sometimes along the way, all those little small things that happen that you did, that at the end of the year, you start thinking, man, oh man, did I do all this for nothing? Sometimes all those small things, they add up, and you're going to have a point where kids are going to come say thank you. And that moment is precious. Keep track of those moments. So anyway, let's move on. Number 3, one thing I would say to a teacher feeling burnt out. So this is more towards probably a veteran, or, I mean, it could be somebody who's, studies are starting to show that teachers are getting out after 5 years because they're already burnt out, which is absolutely sad. I hate that happens. But, one thing that I would say is, go back to your scrapbook. First of all, it's the whole point in doing the scrapbook and keeping track of those small moments and taking pictures in your classroom and all those good things that happen. But also, something that I have learned, because, if we've learned anything through COVID, that was an ordeal for teachers. I personally, I'll just tell you, I suffer from anxiety, and I have my ups and downs. And sometimes when you get down into one of the I don't want to say depression. I don't think I'm depressed, but we go through down moments, and then when the anxiety piles up on top of that, holy moly, that is rough. And I had a lot of that the last couple of years. And sometimes you got to get medication to take care of some of that. And thankfully, I was able to pull myself out, and I'm no longer on that. But I did have to get it. So if you are feeling burnt out because of stuff like that, and maybe it's COVID, maybe it's just the district you work in, maybe it's some bad experiences. I mean, there's all kinds of things that could cause that. But my advice to you is use your mental health days. Use those personal days that you're given in your contracts. All schools have a couple, 3 personal days that teachers are allowed, and they should be allowed those, because teaching is mentally tough. If you care about your kids, it is mentally tough. I would say if you never get upset about something, there's something wrong with you. Because if you are attached, with those kids and seeing them succeed, you're going to have rough moments. And so what I have found to be effective the last 2 years is I have made sure that I'm taking my personal days. I never used to. I used to cash them out at the end of the school year because they're worth a small amount of money. Well, I'm telling you right now, that small amount of money is not worth not being there when you should be. So what I did, the way I worked it out is, since I coach football, basketball, track, is I've taken my personal day. I take the first one in between football and basketball seasons, and then I take the next one right before track starts. And I try to spread them out, and I try to you do it strategically so that I'm not missing school and the sport. You try to limit what you're going to miss, so it has the least amount of damage. And then at the same time, you can see who else is gone at school, so you're not having a bunch of people taking the personal day at the same time. But you can be smart about it and spread them out and do it strategically, but use those days. That is the biggest piece of advice I have for that. And then the last question in this tag, that is starting to get a little lengthy, but last one, number 4, is 3 things I wish I knew when I first started. And actually, I kind of knew these, but it's 3 things that just kind of popped in my head. So the first one I didn't know, and it deals probably more with sports, is when I first started. I am definitely not in this place anymore, but I thought I knew everything. Young people coming out of college, we just got a college education and we know everything. No, you don't know anything. Not only do you not know everything, you don't know anything. Until you've had some years under your belt, you don't know a stinking thing. And I remember when I first started coaching, I thought I knew everything, and man, oh man, did that backfire. And I am definitely no longer like that. So I wish I would have known that when I first started. Another piece of advice when I first started, and I kind of knew this because they preached it in at college, but don't hang around negative people. don't, I wouldn't necessarily say don't go to the lunchroom, because that's what they always tell you in college, because that's where all the negativity happens. And there is something to that. But you need that camaraderie with your people. So what you got to do is, instead of letting the lunchroom be a negative place, you turn it into a positive place. You be the person that makes everybody laugh. Even if you got to be the butt of the joke, you make people laugh and make their day better, because laughter, it cures a lot of stuff. And so that would be something I would definitely stress as you come in as a new teacher. You also have to remember that, along with that there's going to be bad days, but don't dwell on the bad days. Don't make the bad days your everyday. Bad things do happen. You're going to have something negative happen, whether it's the kids just didn't totally get it, or they didn't turn in any of their homework, or I got yelled at by a parent, or we lost the ball game, or my administrator came down hard on me. Those kind of things are going to happen. That's life. That's why I think, like earlier when I said, sports can teach us a lot of life lessons. That's one of those life lessons that can be taught. Bad things are going to happen. It's how you deal with them. And one of the ways, like in the lunchroom, if we're looking at it like this, is turn it into a positive, and find a joke to tell everybody, or find a funny moment. And if you work middle school, there's lots of them, but find a funny moment and live in that, and go back to class with a smile on your face. That's huge. And then the last thing I would say, if I wish I knew when I first started, so this is kind of advice to new teachers, really. And this one is so vitally important to making a connection with your kids, is do not be afraid to let them see you being you. I hope you understand what I mean by that. The kids need to know that you're a real person. I know there's teacher books out there that say that for the first half or 2/3 of the school year, you need to be, you need to be this general who is, moving the troops. I believe at the very beginning, you got to do that a little bit, just to set the tone of who the authority is and who is not. But at the same time, throughout the school year, do not be afraid to let them get to know you. They respond to that. They will respect that. And I am not afraid to laugh about funny things in the classroom. There's a lot of things that come up that are just plain funny. Some of them are maddening. Some of them are just goofy, but I laugh, and I let the kids see me laugh. I don't try to yell at them for stuff. I mean, sometimes you got to get on them about stuff, but I laugh a lot, and I let them know how my family's doing. If I'm sick, I let them know, I just don't feel good today. Kind of like how you felt the other day. Yeah, I kind of feel like that too. I let them see the real me. I let them know what I like, what I dislike, as long as it's appropriate, obviously. But I am not afraid to let them get to know me, because I think that's important in building that relationship with the kid. And then what it does is it fosters a great mentor situation where you can help kids through a lot of tough stuff because they feel safe coming to you. And so that is, to me, is probably one of my strong suits as a teacher, I feel. And a lot of that's probably from my background. But that would be advice I would give to new teachers. Establish that authority, but then don't be afraid to let them get to know you a little bit as you're teaching through the school year. But anyway, BookTube, TeacherTube, YouTube, whoever is watching this, if you stuck around this long, I didn't mean to ramble for so long, but it was the end of the school year, and I feel that I'm really blessed with a great school district, and I got a great set of kids. And if you stuck around this long, thank you so much for doing that. Thank you for letting me ramble a little bit about teaching and about the kids. And it's the greatest profession. I can't think of another profession I would want to be in more than teaching. So, until next time, happy reading.